Okay, let's get right into it. Welcome to The Other Pod, a Talking to Todd production where failure is still always an option. Hey, Todd.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty
Yeah,
good. How are
brought
you?
that one over. That's about it.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's it. That's all. That's the only thing we got.
that's
Okay.
about what we got. Yeah,
Okay. How was your day?
I'm ready. I'm ready to talk some politics.
Oh, fan. Oh, is that kind? Oh, excellent.
It's gonna be the high point of the day.
Love it.
Yeah.
Should we give the disclaimer?
Quick disclaimer: this show is not the other show. This show is the other podcast. We talk about politics, specifically our politics. You've been forewarned. And if you don't like our politics, please feel free to skip.
Or, I mean, you can listen, and
Yeah.
and if you want to tell us why we're wrong, we can have civil debate. We're good with that.
Yes. As a matter of fact, yes. We absolutely don't get everything right. We've proven that on a pretty much a weekly basis. So if there are other things that we should be taking into account or thinking about, happy to have civil debate about any of this stuff. So okay, there, disclaimer.
Yeah. For example, Tim Walz's school lunch program. It's costing their state a bunch of money. It's costing the state of Minnesota way more money than they thought it was going to cost them. However, it is costing Minnesota more than Kim Reynolds's voucher program is costing Iowa taxpayers more than was projected. Kim's more is more than Tim's more. Did you catch all that?
The sad thing is, I think I did, which now concerns me. How did I follow that?
I don't know. Anyway, we don't have much of a format here, but we seem to be getting some good traction with what would Todd do. So why don't we start there?
Okay. So this week, we've noticed. I'll just throw this out. This is, in the last week, everybody's noticed that Trump isn't dealing with the new reality or any reality very well, and this is part of when you see him not dealing with this well. This needs to be, if I was in the campaign, if I was in the Harris campaign at a DNC, this is, hey, when the team's having trouble bringing the ball up the court, press, right? Like, apply, when somebody's stumbling, apply pressure. When they don't handle pressure well, apply more pressure. Force them into errors.
Are you talking about the scenario where Donald envisions a reality where Biden gets back into the race?
Oh, well, that'd be great. But no. So here's,
because he did that.
Yes, but watching all of the media for the last week, one of the things I noticed is they've plotted that Trump is spending the least amount of time on the campaign trail this year compared to 2016 and 2020.
Yeah.
Right. He's sort of disappearing. I mean, he was on Twitter, but he's not even doing the big rallies and all of that stuff. Instead, JD Vance is all over the place. Right. Here's what I would do if I was the Harris campaign. Again, you want at least 60% of your campaign to be about the stuff that you want to do. It's not all negative. You don't have to go 100% about the other person. Give people a reason to vote for you instead of giving people a reason not to vote for the other person. However, do use some of your time to apply pressure. Here's the talking points I would use in the Harris campaign for the next week, which is I would constantly talk about, man, JD Vance is all over the place. I mean, stop talking about Trump and start talking about JD Vance. I saw JD Vance on the TV. Man, this is how you ramp this up, which is, we're seeing so much of JD. I'm starting to wonder, is JD running for president? Is it the Vance Trump ticket? And then,
he couldn't take that.
and then take
Because
one of his, hey, he was on the CNN, and he was talking about, Vance was talking about his plan to cut taxes. You don't have to do that for very long to unleash utter chaos in the other camp. Make it about Vance for 2 to 3 days consistently. I don't even know who's running at this point. We see more of Vance than Trump. I guess it must be the Vance Trump ticket. And then just shut up and just watch it happen.
because Trump can't handle it that everybody's just talking about Harris.
Exactly.
Let alone not
His
talking
running
about him.
mate.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's brilliant.
You like that?
I love that.
I mean, you don't have to do that for very long. And there's going to be a conversation that will take Vance off the air. Trump isn't doing things, and Vance will get pulled off the air. So now it's just Trump, and he's not doing well.
Well, one of the reasons that I read that Trump isn't doing things is because some cities have gotten wise to the fact that he doesn't pay his bills
And are renting him places?
and aren't renting him places. And the Secret Service doesn't want him to do outdoor things anymore after the shooting incident
Right.
for good reason. But he can't just go to somebody's farm now and set up shop. Because you got to
the public park in Las Vegas, not Las Vegas. Yes. Just go to public. Yes.
yes, right. So, but he's left thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of unpaid bills from the last campaign and the other last campaign that he still hasn't paid. Upwards of 750. I'm not going to say a number. I saw a chart. I can't remember what the bottom number was on it.
There was an axis, but there was a break.
There was there was
No.
a map, and there was all these cities that had numbers. Washington D.C. was really bad.
Are you sure? Was that how
Montana.
much money he owed, or was those public drinking fountains?
Oh, it could have been Royce.
Yeah. So, by the way, the fact that he owes all of this money.
Yeah.
Week 1, it's Vance. Let that die down and let you die down your message. Go back to yours. Let that blow up. Then he has also proposed in the last week that he wants more influence over the Fed because he's good with money.
Right.
And he should have influence. Next step of pressure. This line. This is a guy that bankrupted a casino. He can't even run a casino right. Why do you think he should get to touch the US monetary supply? He would lose his ever-loving mind when you mention that he failed at business at a casino. If you wanted to ramp it up, you could then even say, and it's not just the casino. He ran an airline into the ground. Bad use of things. He bankrupted an airline. He bankrupted an airline, right? He bankrupted an online school. He couldn't even sell steaks. And you want him to have control over our money? If anybody should be in control, this is the last guy in the United States who should have control. He has proven he is bad at business and bad at money. Couple of days, step back, just let it, and then move on to your message. This is what we're doing. This is how we're helping the American people keep it going. Again, every week, pressure point, let it blow up, and while it's blowing up, let it have its moment, but then apply pressure in the next sense. Because you don't have to do that much to let him unravel.
He's going to do his thing.
Yes. You just need to give him the fodder. And again,
Yep.
I feel a little bad about that because it's like, look, is that the way you should run a campaign? It's the way you should run a campaign against him. It is how he's run his campaign, right?
Yep.
It's using his tactics against himself. Again, it can't be the whole message. It is part of the message, and then you do the rest of what you need to do because he's not listening to the whole speech. Once you just drop one of those things in there, just let it. It's going to do its own thing.
Drive him crazy. Because that's really the target. Because the Trump voters, the Trump supporters, the hardcore that are going to vote for him no matter what, fine. This is more about driving Trump crazy than it is about winning other votes. He'll do whatever he's going to do.
Well, no, there is a specific thing to this though, which is there's multiple reports that have come out that have been talking about how there's reporting from the New York Times about as he doesn't understand how to campaign against Harris.
Right.
And he's feeling the pressure because suddenly his air of invincibility is gone and the poll numbers are going against him. Like he's used to projecting an air of invincibility to show that he's inevitable. And that is all coming in on him. And as that happens, he is reverting to his worst tendencies, many tendencies that we saw him use as president. He was trying to not show those. Pressure reveals who you are. That is what this is about, which is we're going to apply pressure and you are going to reveal who you are. And to your point, it is not about going after the 30% of the electorate that is going to vote for him regardless. That 30%, they know who he is, and that's their ride or die guy. You're not going to change that. What you are doing is the people who are on the edge, again, you are trying to say, I can't bring you. You're trying to get Republicans who go, I cannot bring myself to vote for him. And you don't have to siphon off. We're not talking millions and millions of voters. You're talking tens of thousands of voters to either say that's not it or I'll go the other way this time, right? Because you're not going to your point, you're not going to move that 30%. He has a very high floor, but he has a very low ceiling.
Right.
And what you're trying to do is knock that ceiling down a notch or two. Because the other thing is, as we, the other part that has come out is how many election deniers have now become county recorders, secretaries of state, right?
70 of them.
So, okay, here's what needs to happen, right? Like the closer it is, the more problematic those become.
Right.
The thing that's going to need to happen is it needs to be, and this is now getting greedy, because before I would I'll take a close win. If you want to overcome that inertia and you want to overcome it was stolen, you've got to win enough that it's like, oh, okay, that county doesn't matter. Right? Because at some point you're like, are you telling me that somehow 32 million votes were made up? Again, applying the pressure reduces the people going after him to make the either bring the votes over or have people say, I'm not going to go vote for him. I'll sit this one out. It's all about, it's not just winning. There needs to be a buffer. The more of the buffer you have, again, because what that gets to is the more of the buffer, this is the piece, or the part of this is the more of the buffer that you start to get, the polls will continue to go against him. That is also pressure. And it's a self-defeat. It
Yeah.
was a self-reinforcing thing. Hey, if he's going to win, I think I'm going to vote for him. And which made him even feel more confident, right? It works in reverse. Polls are going down. He starts acting the way he acts,
Right.
which then turns off voters, which then affects the polls, which then gets him to act more that way. And the polls start widening because what he's also is, oh, hey, the polls are, the
Fake
polls,
polls. They're fake
said
polls.
well, there was one thing of, oh, the polls are all saying that we had it won, and then the things happened. If a month or two out, and again, this is almost wish casting, we saw Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin all turn from +1, +2 Trump to all +4 Harris recently,
Right.
still within the margin of error,
Yes.
but all of them moved the same way. And that was a problem, right? Again, it's piercing the veil of invincibility. If those numbers hold steady or continue to grow, the inevitable, because I actually think at some point, if you see enough of that, as we go into the election, enough people are like, oh, what he doesn't want anybody to think is that he's going to lose. If the narrative gets to being, oh, he's going to lose,
Yeah.
he's lost his superpower.
This is kind of an aside, but I don't think originally he expected to win.
No, none of them did. His entire campaign didn't. They did not do a transition. They had no transition team. They had no plan for that night.
This will be great. I'll make a bunch of money. Maybe I'll sell a book. Maybe it'll get me back on TV. The last thing he really wanted to do was actually be president.
Yes. I would say, however, I believe, if we go back, I believe, however, once he became president, there's a lot of work to be done. But suddenly, so you have a mansion that you don't have to pay for.
Right.
You have a 747 you don't have to pay for. You've got people in uniform who have to snap to attention and salute you. You've got a full-time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, entire staff to take care of you. And anytime you talk, everybody has to listen to you. So I don't think he wanted to be president, but I think that's the part of being president that he misses desperately.
Well, and he can go play golf whenever he wants to.
Yes.
He can still do that anyway. But anytime he goes on the road, he goes and stays in one of his hotels, which then generates money for himself because he gets to build the government for all of the food, all of the hotel, all of the everything.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Once it happened, then, oh, look how much I can look at all of the benefits for me for this. Because as we have said, as you said before, he thinks that it's his own private thing.
Yes. There's an alternate reality, and I said this while he was president. There's an alternate reality that this would be terrible for us, but the stuff that he wants to do as president is hold the rallies, the cheering, all of that stuff, right? That's what he really wants to do. Realistically, he wants the job that the King of England has.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do the ceremonial stuff, like got the palace, got the guards, got all of that. Are you passing any laws? Oh hell no. We do not let him pass any laws. No, Mike. Yeah. No. Those people do the work over here.
Right.
This is all literally, like, if none of it happens, with the exception of the king does have to open up parliament. There's a couple of little goofy things in there. But anyway, most of what the king does, if the king doesn't do it, government's fine. To be honest, if we had a job like that, that's what Trump would be running for.
Vice president.
Nobody listens to the vice president. Hey, the vice president's having a press conference. Anybody want? I'm here. Anybody have any?
Anybody have any questions? You want to hear?
Ralph,
listen to me
Tony,
ramble?
No. Okay.
No? Okay.
So anyway, that's what I would do. Pressure. Start adding the pressure. in tennis, it's unforced errors.
Yes.
That's what you're going after right now because he's shown that he's capable. He's doing unforced errors. Lean into that.
Just put the ball in the middle of the court and let him hit it into the net.
Yeah.
I played tennis.
Speaking of pressure, you have an item in here called election math.
I do. When we recorded last night, the results of the Minnesota Senate primary were not yet final.
Okay.
And do we have any Royce White news? The answer last night was no. Sadly, the answer tonight is yes.
Here's I'm going to get to where you were saying. I'm going to say it's not sadly, but please continue.
Okay. So in the Republican Senate primary last night, Royce White came in first. He got 38.9% of the Republican votes in the Republican Senate primary with 52,639 votes.
He had 52. I know you're going to do math here, but I'm going to follow along because, following along with math is fun. So he had 52,000. How many? 52,000?
639.
639. And that equaled how much?
38.9%.
Okay. Following along.
Now, there are 4.1 million eligible voters in Minnesota.
Okay.
In the last presidential election, 3.2 million of those voted. Right?
There was not Royce.
No, but yes, you're right. That's true.
Ironically, not Royce.
Ironically, 3.2 million voters. Not one of them was not. That's a 79.9% turnout. In 2022 midterm election, which Tim Walz got reelected for governor, there was a 61% turnout. 2.5 million voters.
Okay.
So, but of the 4.1 million eligible voters, 39% of them are Republicans.
Okay.
So that's about, let's say, 1.6 million Republicans.
Okay.
Knowing that Royce got 39%, let's call it, and 52,000 votes, total Republican votes in that primary last night, 135,000 votes cast.
Yes.
It's about an 8% turnout. 8% turnout, and he got 39% of that. This is a campaign going somewhere. I am telling you. It is the Royce White train to... No, wait, that may be wrong.
This is why it's depressing that we have to talk about him. This is why I don't think this is bad news, because he is now the Republican candidate for Senate for Minnesota, correct?
He absolutely is. And do you know who he's running against?
Amy Klobuchar.
Yes, he is going to get creamed.
So she's not going to have to spend a ton of money.
To the first half of this podcast, all she has to do is just let him talk.
I have a debate and just say, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Royce. I cede my time. I do think, however, here is the problem that the Republican Party, the spiral that they are potentially getting in because of Trump, right? Which is, let's assume that you are a competent Republican who wants to run for Senate. Okay. So you're going to have to campaign. You're going to have to get your money. You're going to have to probably put your own money in. You're going to have to do all of that. This is what the people who are voting for, out of those 135,000, this is what they want. So why would you, as a viable candidate, as a viable statewide candidate for a general election, why would you run this gauntlet with a chance to lose?
Well, because 62% of them don't want him. 62% of the Republicans and
that voted,
that
of the
voted
8% that voted.
of the 8% that voted. But you have to think, I mean, this is a Republican primary in a primary year that I mean, nothing matters. I mean, you're not voting to nominate Trump. The nomination's already happened, right? The only people that come out for this primary are dyed in the wool Republicans,
Yes.
right? You're really Republican. You're invested. I My father was a Republican. When I was in college, I was a young Republican, right? These are the people that come out and vote. It's the same way on the Democratic side, right? 62% of them chose someone else. That's why you run, is because most of the Republicans think that he's crazy.
And yet,
he got a plurality. It's his name that's going to be on the ticket.
Yeah. And yet here we are talking about him.
Yes, we are.
Yet again. I kind of feel like at this point, going back to the earlier one, I kind of feel like Royce White is putting pressure on us. We try not to talk about him. And then he goes out and he's like, watch this. This might be, you know what, my theory might be working against us in reverse. We may need to think about this.
But the good news is Royce will have plenty of time to go to strip clubs from how. No, wait. Sorry. Networking events.
For the food.
Yeah, that's why you go to them, right? Okay. In the immortal words of Chuck Todd, I think we're going to have to leave it there. The other pod is a Talking to Todd production. Our theme music is still by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks to everyone who listens. Please send your feedback on this episode and every episode to feedback@talkingtotodd.com. Todd?
The people you have to feel sorry for, not sorry for, are the people that came in second, third, and fourth to Royce. I lost to this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Cue the Michael Dukakis in the tank hat.
Can't believe I'm losing to this guy. We'll be back. We're here. We're talking to Todd.